New details are emerging about Ellen DeGeneres and her alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including claims that she played a role in bringing young performers to his private island. Recently leaked voice messages and emails have surfaced, revealing that Epstein apparently used coded language when referring to his victims. In one voice recording, Epstein survivor Virginia Giuffre states clearly that Epstein did not operate on his own.
I've talked to many other girls,
Okay.
and a lot of things have happened, okay? So, just take a deep breath.
I'm trying. It's just I'm not that type of person. That's why I was so.
And I understand that, and that seems to be a case with a lot of people. Okay, either they need cash quickly and they fall into this rut. But that's why I'm trying to
I understand.
look into this. But that's why I need you to be totally honest with me.
I am being
totally
completely
truthful.
honest with you.
Okay. So what else happened?
And then when he started pleasing himself, he got up and he went over to a drawer and he pulled out this weird thing, and then he pulled down my and then he started, it was just like this.
In the early 2000s, Virginia Giuffre, a woman from the UK, came forward with serious allegations against Ghislaine Maxwell. She claimed that Maxwell recruited her and brought her to Jeffrey Epstein's private island, where she was reportedly forced to engage in sexual acts with powerful and influential men, including members of the British royal family beginning when she was just 14 years old. Virginia said she had photographic evidence involving several of these individuals, including Prince Andrew. According to her account, Epstein did not operate alone. She alleged that he ran an organized network that included safe houses and connections to wealthy elites across the United States, the United Kingdom, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was further alleged that Epstein used his private jet to transport young women to exclusive, secretive gatherings where senior government officials and prominent media figures were reportedly in attendance.
It took a lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to because we were right there blatantly in front of them. They knew exactly what was going on. Everyone's turned a blind eye in the place where I was supposed to be protected, in my country where I was supposed to be protected. The justice system failed us then. I believe they're going to do something amazing for us now. I really believe in them. I believe that the New York Southern District wants to do the right thing. And I will do everything that I can do to be a part of helping them do that.
No one else was ever charged, and the Department of Justice claimed Epstein acted alone. But leaked files and Virginia's own testimony told a very different story. Other people were clearly involved. Just weeks before the Epstein files were made public in 2019, Virginia went on social media and said she was receiving threats. Unknown sources were warning her to stop speaking out. At the time, Virginia was writing a book that would name every person she had seen on Epstein's island and private plane. But that book never made it out. She was hit by a truck, survived, and then allegedly took her own life just days later. What no one could ignore was the tweet she posted shortly before her death. She wrote that she was not suicidal, that she had told her therapist and doctor the same, and that if anything happened to her, she wanted people to speak up for her family. She ended it with these words, "Too many evil people want to see me silenced." Those words never left. And for many people, the questions surrounding her death never did either.
Welcome back and Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall. Breaking news coming in, some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post, several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announce that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and trafficking." The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was trafficked at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken.
Virginia was working on a book when she died, and while she never got to finish it, part of it still made it out into the world. What she wrote in those pages played a role in the eventual arrest of Prince Andrew, one of the most prominent figures in the British royal family. Strangely, a large portion of the manuscript vanished around the time of her death. But the section that did reach her publisher contained some truly jaw-dropping revelations.
It's a harrowing read, and it'll make you feel uncomfortable, but these are the excerpts that stood out for me from the memoir written by the late Virginia Giuffre, which has just been released. In it, she describes being tricked by Jeffrey Epstein to, quote, a man who raped me more savagely than anyone had before. Now, it's worth noting that in the US edition of the book, she described the man in legal filings only as, quote, a prime minister, and that he had repeatedly choked her until she lost consciousness and, quote, took pleasure in seeing me fear for my life. Giuffre doesn't name the Prime Minister or many of the other men that she writes about in this book. Her co-author, Amy Wallace, says it shouldn't be up to the survivors of abuse out there. It should be the authorities, which is why she's calling for the so-called Epstein files to be released. Giuffre does name Epstein and Prince Andrew, of course, who she says she had encounters with in multiple locations.
Virginia's final voice message confirmed what people had already been whispering about. Epstein didn't act alone, and anyone who dares speak up gets shut down. The Department of Justice has not been straight with the public, and the full files still haven't been released, even years after Epstein's death. FBI Director Kash Patel was actually caught on camera making false statements about Epstein. During his appearance on Joe Rogan's show, he flat-out claimed there was no chance Epstein was murdered. Now here's what Ghislaine Maxwell, the person closest to Epstein, had to say about all of this.
So you think he did not die by, given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by. No.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who killed him?
This voice note came out in 2024. Around that same time, the FBI and the Department of Justice revealed they plan to release the Epstein files the following year, in 2025. That news hit the entertainment industry hard. Documents from those files, including emails and voice notes, showed that Epstein used his connections in Hollywood to target and recruit young women. He was even involved in modeling agencies, where he was listed as a talent scout. Now here's the question worth asking. Who quietly left the United States shortly after that announcement dropped?
They're losing their minds.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very
she could
sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia.
Bit of
could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of hypocrites.
Shortly after Ellen left the country, tragedy struck close to home. Her executive producer and self-described right-hand man, Twitch, took his own life. In a note left for his wife, Twitch reportedly exposed a great deal. He described what he had witnessed while working with Ellen, including connections to powerful individuals whose names he never imagined would be tied to anything so dark. He told his wife Allison that he had been pressured to stay quiet, and that people around him, including Ellen herself, were not who they appeared to be. There was also reportedly a voice message, said to be a recording addressed directly to Ellen, in which he laid everything out. This recording has never been officially released, but it has been referenced across various online forums and in leaked private messages.
We're learning more tonight about the tragic suicide of Stephen Twitch Boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before his he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left his note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past. Entertainer Tyler Perry knows firsthand what that is like.
I want to take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times because it was so dark. I thought the only way to make this better, this pain go away, is stay in my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best part of my life.
Ellen didn't seem to make any effort to conceal her reported connection to the troubling practices now coming to light in Hollywood. In one episode featuring Sandra Bullock, the two openly talked about using a substance derived from a particular source, even joking about how it helped them stay looking young.
Okay, let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do
Not
this?
everybody.
Okay, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these. Some of you, I think many of you know it. And it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen, and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes.
What are you pushing into the skin, Sarah? Sandra? Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean.
This may seem hard to believe, but rumors about this kind of activity in Hollywood have circulated for years. There were even videos that appeared to show a prominent Hollywood figure, Peter Nygard, attempting to purchase aborted fetuses. That same person later became widely known for serious criminal charges and convictions related to the sexual exploitation and assault of multiple women over many years.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of your monkey.
You can
get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500, but you know, I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. You know, umbilical cord, you know, and placenta, you know, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Mm-hmm. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured and recycled.
The recently released emails from the Epstein files show Jeffrey Epstein was interested in genetic medicine. He paid a researcher at Massachusetts General Hospital for tests that could be used to help create stem cells. Investigators found a $2,000 invoice from 2014 for sequencing part of Epstein's genome. The doctor that he paid also provided an estimate for personalized longevity studies that would use gene editing. He told investigators Epstein was enrolled in the Personal Genome Project at Harvard University.
Some fans have even suggested that the set design of Ellen's show was inspired by the temple found on Epstein's Island.
Number 2.
Nice. We could have done this here.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I was like, you know what? That's a good way to die. They're not going to let me buy that place. Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? The similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What?
To show the type of criticism Ellen was facing, one example people often talked about was a prank where she pressured Justin Bieber into taking part in an uncomfortable situation on her show. Around this same time, Ellen's carefully crafted, nice person image began to fall apart. The Ellen DeGeneres show ultimately came to an end following a wave of allegations that pointed directly at Ellen herself. Most people remember just how stunned the public was. Here was someone who had built her entire brand around kindness and positivity, and yet behind the scenes, a very different story was unfolding. Ellen did eventually issue a public apology for her behavior. However, even that moment raised eyebrows, as she reportedly pressured Twitch, her longtime DJ and co-host, to appear alongside her during the apology, a move that many felt was more about optics than genuine accountability.
Like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be right? You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
dogs
have like
around them.
Yeah, she's got dogs and hoods. If an intern's late, they have a hood on. I don't support that. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Ellen's exit from the public eye happened to coincide with the release of the Epstein files, and people took notice. After decades as a blonde, she suddenly switched up her look and quietly relocated to England, a fresh start, it seemed. But the timing raised eyebrows. Why step away from the spotlight right as names connected to Epstein were coming to light? And why the sudden reinvention? For a lot of people watching, it felt like more than a coincidence. We know for certain that Epstein was recruiting young women, models, and child actors from the entertainment industry. In one of his emails, he actually reached out to a film director who was researching a character described as a really bad guy who gets sent to his island. Epstein told her directly that the character was based on him. He even wrote that when he told her this, she nearly fainted. What makes this particularly striking is that this exchange happened just 7 months before his arrest.
Question: which one do you prefer, lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring mind? I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute if possible. That exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on May 23rd, 2008 is part of some 18,000 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account obtained by Bloomberg News. The emails, which suggest the inbox was most active between 2005 and 2008, include messages spanning 2002 to 2022. Epstein died in 2019, and emails received after that are largely spam or marketing offers. Overall, the emails offer a raw look into the disgraced financier and offender's world. While this inbox wasn't the only one he used, the newly uncovered emails do suggest how central Maxwell was to his life. Something that contradicts her telling of events. She's characterized herself as a former girlfriend and property manager for Epstein, not someone with eyes into his vast influence machine or operation.
Following the release of the Epstein files, some of Jeffrey Epstein's victims have begun sharing their stories and describing what took place on the island. Marina Lacerda, one of those victims, spoke out directly. "There are people who know more about what happened to me than I do myself. The government still has documents and information that could help me piece together my memories and find some healing. And yet, none of that has been given to me."
Until now, Marina Lacerda was known publicly only as victim number 1 in 2019 court documents. But now she's speaking out for the first time about her experience at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Her cooperation with the FBI was key to putting the offender behind bars. She says she was just 14 years old and living in a broken home in New York City when a friend brought her to meet Epstein to give him a massage.
I think with Jeffrey Epstein, it starts somewhere, but then it ends with,
either you having sex with him whether you like it or not.
She became a part of a network of young girls in Astoria, Queens, recruited to be with Epstein, similar to what prosecutors say he did in Palm Beach, Florida.
When he has somebody new in his life, he likes to see them a lot. So I went there a whole bunch of times, and, it led to, unfortunately, he forced me to have sex with him, basically.
Lacerda says she was paid thousands of dollars and that as a young immigrant from Brazil, she says she believed being associated with a financier could lead to better opportunities.
It never happened, obviously, because it came to a point when I was, I'd say 16 and a half or 17. He didn't want me anymore. He was just like, you're too old.
He said that?
He's like, you're too old. I don't want you anymore.
A survivor described in her testimony just how desperate she was to get away from Epstein. She revealed that she had already made 2 previous escape attempts, and at one point she tried to swim away from his island. She explained that Ghislaine had taken her food away, and after being brought to the island 3 times, she had reached her breaking point. In her own words, she was willing to risk her life that night if it meant getting free.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must be in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being raped. I was 10. That is how long this trafficking ring has been going.
Parts of the file where the victim described what was actually happening on the island have been blacked out. But back in 2009, another young model named Gabriela Jimenez had a very public breakdown outside a hotel, crying and screaming that she had witnessed something deeply disturbing involving high-profile guests, the very same things Ellen was laughing about with Sandra Bullock.
Luis, esta es la triste realidad de la joven Gabriela Rico Jiménez, que como observamos en momentos intentó también agredir al elemento policíaco que logró someterla esta madrugada. Por eso, bueno, vamos a buscar la versión de las autoridades del por qué.
It wasn't just Ellen making jokes that later turned out to hit close to the truth. People digging through the recently released Department of Justice files on Jeffrey Epstein have spotted something unusual. Certain food-related words keep popping up far more than you'd expect. The word pizza alone appears hundreds of times, and references to ice cream and grape soda show up in contexts where they simply don't fit the conversation. This pattern has sparked a lot of debate online, with many people suggesting these words might be some kind of code for illegal or sexual activity. However, it's important to be clear, law enforcement has not confirmed or established that interpretation.
So I don't know what this one means. I'm not sure if you've seen it. This is Jeffrey Epstein sending it to Colm Olivier. And by the way, imagine, I feel bad for anyone that's innocent, that wasn't involved in anything incriminating, and maybe before Epstein was charged with in 2008, before the truth started coming out of what he's guilty of. if someone was caught in this email thread talking about something innocent with Epstein, I feel bad for them. So my heart goes out to them. And I hope they don't get stuck along with everyone else that's actually been involved in things that are incriminating. But this one sends an email. No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. And then Olivier replies, as long as you don't have any hammerhead ones, are like white sharks. And then Jeffrey sends an email the next day. As two are Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. And then Olivier then emails, the king of Saudi has a few white sharks in his Jeddah palace. I totally prefer yours. Sure, I would enjoy the view. And then Jeffrey goes, on my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. So this is an email that essentially just refers to Russian girls. Two are Russian, doesn't say girls, two are Russian, and refers to them as white sharks. And then later says, the king of Saudi has some, but I prefer yours. And then later talks about an aquarium full of girls. It's just another example, in my opinion, of code words being used. I just don't know what it would mean. What do you make of this?
So what I make of it is basically he's saying that they'll hook up with ugly girls, that the head doesn't matter so much, that the body's what matter. That's the way I read it. That's what I think Epstein means by that, is basically saying like some of them are like shrimp. You can take off the head, just keep the body. So in other words, that's based on reading a lot of his stuff. That's my take. It totally could be wrong.
These coded terms haven't been proven to indicate any criminal activity, but they've helped fuel conspiracy theories like Pizzagate. What concerns many people is that those in positions of power aren't even bothering to address or clarify the claims against them. 2017 speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a trafficking ring from a Washington pizzeria basement. Have you reviewed any 2025-2026 Epstein files that were released that you believe reference or relate to those specific 2016 claims regarding the Podesta emails, Comet Ping Pong Pizza used as code possibly?
I'm sorry, you're asking her about whether she's reviewed emails in the Epstein files which relate to the wacky Pizzagate scandal.
You could characterize it however you want. I just would like to know if she's familiar with any of them.
So excuse me, your question is about whether or not she has reviewed any emails in the Epstein release files about Pizzagate.
Correct.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be.
There are connections to the language.
Well, the QAnon people believe there are. So
I don't know what QAnon people believe.
Have at it.
At this point, this goes beyond any single individual. It's about a pattern that keeps playing out the same way. People come forward, and then they're quietly pushed aside, their credibility attacked, or they simply disappear from the conversation. Documents get held up, evidence goes missing, and the real story gets buried under news coverage that never quite makes sense. So ask yourself, is this all just coincidence, or is something bigger being hidden? Share what you think in the comments below. And if you want more honest, no-nonsense content like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.